Realtors, get your buyers back from Zillow. Did you know that when Zillow hands you a buyer, the buyer goes back to Zillow 27 times, looks at 77 properties over an average of 30 days, and you have all that information. Every house, where they were, how often they look at it, did they calculate a mortgage, and that's just one mistake that us realtors keep making because we're not taking advantage of. I have 9 more things that you need to be aware of. All you gotta do is be aware, you can fix it and change the game. All right, listen up, guys. We're talking about the top 10 mistakes that agents make every single day just because they're not aware of it. So let's bring some awareness to the table. Let's start with number 1. Number 1, today we're talking under contract calls, as I like to call it. So what I mean by this is under contract calls, you answer the phone. Let's say it's a sign call, an online lead, a referral, whatever it may be, and the buyer says, hey, I was calling about the house on 123 ABC Street. And you say, yeah, hang on one second, let me look up the information. And you come back to the call and you say, let's see here. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, $300,000. Oh, and it's under contract. And what does the buyer say? Okay, thanks, bye. And the conversation is over. That is no good, no bueno, right? So what I want you to think about is how about that's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath for $300,000. Is that what you were hoping for? And let them see what they have to say. Because if we listen more than we talk, we're going to learn more about the client and help them out. Yes, you may need to tell them it's under contract at some point in time if that's the case, but let them talk first. I challenge you to role play it and see what you come up with. Number 2. So I want to talk a little bit about Zillow specifically here because Zillow's a hot topic. We're talking about a lot of things about how they're changing and what they're doing, but here's one thing that they have given us that we really need to lean on hard. If you take a Zillow call and you meet a Zillow customer, this one's super interesting. If you go onto that little app that Zillow gives you as an agent, you know you can see everything your customer has looked at, like all the houses, when they did it, were they on a desktop, was it mobile, did they search a mortgage? Like that is massive information. And just yesterday, Zillow came out with a tip, I'm gonna read it right here. They said, after a buyer contacts an agent through their Zillow process, the consumer returns to Zillow, this is US statistics here, this is crazy. They return to Zillow an average of 27 times and visit 77 listing pages over the next 30 days. So think about if you knew that the average buyer in the US, after you talk to them on the phone, they're going back to Zillow 27 times and visiting 77 listings on average, like what would you do with that information? They gave it to us, we just forget to look at it. So make sure you're paying attention to that Zillow app. Number 3. So let's talk, one of the ways that we're losing clients right now is that we're taking too long on the phone. I'm still talking about the phone call here. We're taking too long on the phone to find the information. And what I mean by that is has someone ever called you and you said, hey, they're calling about that house again on 123 XYZ Street, and you ask them to hang on to find the home. First tip is ask them to hang on and hit that mute button. Because if you could go back and listen to the recorded versions of your calls, if you happen to have something like that, us agents sound pretty ignorant on the phone trying to find it. Because usually you're driving down the road, you're doing like the shoulder thing, hopefully you've got some form of AirPods now, but you're scrambling on your phone to search for the MLS app and what you do, and people can hear how ignorant we sound on the phone when we're like, yeah, let me see, oh, my app's not working, oh, I need to charge my phone in, the blinker's on, like, they hear all that. And it's really it doesn't build a lot of confidence. So I just want you to think about when you put the customer on hold, what they hear, and it feels like an eternity. So the best way to do this is just practice. Get with maybe your accountability partner, your coach, your broker, your team leader, whoever it may be, and say, hey, I want to just throw an address at me. Let me see how fast I can find it. And maybe can you watch over my shoulder to see if you would search it a different way? Because you all know the MLS app, there's 15 million ways to find a house. Make sure you aren't losing the client right out of the gate because they're just what is up with this guy? So think about that, okay? Number 4. Okay, number 4. Let's say that we are at the place where we're ready to sign papers. Customer is ready to commit to you. The customer is ready to commit to the house. the customer is ready to commit to the listing, whatever it may be. We as an industry have just recently discovered over the past few years this whole thing called electronic signatures. And it has created the largest crutch for every realtor in the world to not properly explain to the consumer what you're signing. And I can't tell you how many times I see agents and coaching clients talk about how, oh, I just lost this deal because the customer was upset about something. And I always go back to, how did you explain that to them proactively before you were in the situation? And they were like, well, they signed everything. Well, when you ask someone to sign 42 pieces of paper, the average person out there isn't going to read it. They're just excited because they trust you and everything's going good. And what could go wrong, right? Well, we know everything could go wrong. But when there's proactive explanation, things go really, really smoothly. So just remember, electronic signatures is a crutch that can cripple you. What I recommend is still use the electronic signatures. Just do it side by side and explain to the client as you scroll through the contracts and have them sign in person. If your electronic signature system doesn't allow you to sign in person, I would challenge you to find a new system. So that was tip number 4. Let's move on to tip number 5. Number 5. Again, talking a little bit about the contractual side of things, appraisals. So too often appraisals are disappointing our customers. They don't come out to the sales price. And what do we end up doing? We end up having to go after and say, oh, well, the house isn't worth this, or here's what happened, or it didn't appraise out. I think, again, it all starts with proactivity here. You need to have the conversation with your clients up front. Let's say it's your seller. Hey, this is what the appraisal does. This is why they do it. It's there to protect the bank. It's not there to protect the buyer or you or anybody else. And they have guidelines they have to follow. And if they follow those guidelines, sometimes the logic goes out the window. Like, for example, let's say you have a neighborhood and there's not that many sales. The appraiser has to find comparable sales. Well, if there isn't any, it's probably not going to work out in your favor. But what I've also found, if there's not that many comparable sales, that means it may be a high demand house. Appraisers don't always look at supply and demand. So what we think we can sell it for and what we can sell it for is maybe here, but the appraiser's saying, well, we can only prove that there's past sales that match here. So here's the trick. Make sure your seller, educate your seller to put a piece of paper on the kitchen counter and just say, these are all the things that we've done to the house. We remodeled the kitchen in this year, we put a roof on in this year, we added a hot water heater, we replaced the carpet, because if you do those things, appraisers are allowed to make adjustments to the opinion of value that they came up with, and they're going to say, this is the norm based on the sales, but because of these items that the seller reported that's been done, we can improve that value. That $7,000 in improvement on appraisal price could save your seller $7,000, right? Same thing goes for buyers. Just explain to your buyers the process and just ask the seller's agent to make sure the seller does that, because there's nothing worse than a buyer getting all excited about a house and then not being able to get it. So let's work as a team on that one right there. Okay, next one. This is exciting right here. We need to really think about let me put it this way. Too many agents out there are allowing buyers to think that we get paid for a finder's fee. Think about that for a second. Have you ever been in a position where you've shown a bunch of houses and then the buyer calls you up and says, I found a house. Maybe it's listed, maybe it's not, maybe it's for sale by owner, and all of a sudden they think that your value is not there, or you shouldn't take as much commission or any commission, and they think that that is what they're getting paid for. Again, there's a trend here. We're going back to being proactive. Are you explaining to your clients exactly what your value proposition is? And for bonus points, maybe what your unique value proposition is. And if it has anything with doing to find the house, you should probably add a few more value props to that, because they need to understand you're there to yes, find the house, but make sure it's the right house for them. And then this is where the real work starts. We know this. It's be the glue to hold the deal together all the way to close and keep them happy. So I just want to challenge you to make sure, do your buyers think that you're working for a finder's fee, or are you earning a commission to represent them? So big question you should challenge yourself on. Okay, we're coming to the end here. Number seven. In the world that we live today, listen up, realtors, in the world that we live today, you're going to start paying referrals on all of your transactions because the internet's getting really good at getting sticky, capturing your past clients, packaging up really pretty, acting as if they're just a great buyer and handing them to you for a 30 or 40% referral, and you're stuck paying that referral. And all you had to do was just make sure you were the source for your clients right now to contact you before they go online. So like number 7 is just, are you loving on your past clients? Do they think you're the resource, or do they think some big website out there is the resource? Because if they go to the website and the website hands them back to you, or even worse, to somebody else, there's going to be a big referral that comes with that. And you know what? If you're going to pay that referral, think about, instead of paying a 40% referral to a big website, what if you just took maybe 10% of every paycheck and put it onto gift giving, or loving on your clients, or educating your clients, or throwing the client appreciation events? They'll come to you before they go online. So, love on your clients. 3 more. Number 8, stop practicing on paychecks. It's all about role playing, guys. It's all about practicing your negotiations. It's getting with somebody that is better than you, and sometimes maybe equal to you, and sometimes somebody you don't even know, and just discuss, how would you handle this situation? You know, the previous 7 things, most of them have to do with some form of a role play. This is where you can put it into action. Just stop practicing on paychecks. Did a video a while back ago called Classroom Practice Performance. Just make sure you are actually learning in the classroom, practicing what you learn, so you can do a level 10 performance every single time. Number 9. Do you get emotionally attached to your deal? Emotionally attached to the deal. So here's what I want to challenge you. If you're listening to this video right now, you're probably into self-help books, YouTube videos, podcasts. You're always trying to get better. That means you have an edge over everybody else. The average agent out there does not do what we're doing. The average consumer out there definitely doesn't do what we're doing. They're just living in the moment. Do not get caught up in the emotions of it. Know that you have an edge. You know that you practice scripts, you practice personality types, you practice negotiations, you understand the art of the power of yes and the power of no and how you can leverage it. But if you get caught up emotionally in it, all you're doing is burning bridges. Home inspectors, appraisers, realtors, you may think that you're really fighting hard for your client right now, but what are you going to do next month when there's another deal with that same person and you just ticked them off? It's not going to go very well. So stop burning bridges. Don't get emotionally attached to the deal. Number 10, you're working at the wrong brokerage or team. And now this one's a little edgy. And here's what I want to mean by this. Either you're working at the wrong brokerage or the team, or you're working at the right brokerage with the right team, and you're not challenging yourself. This is a you versus you competition, right? So what I mean by this is are you leveraging the resources? Are you declaring your goals to the top of the world and letting the people who you trusted to hang your license underneath, are you asking them and saying, here's my goals, here's how to hold me accountable, I need to be trained, I need to be taught, I need to be challenged every single day. And if you can't do that where you're at right now, I recommend you interview everybody in town, literally everybody in town, because it's going to take more than just one interview to decide who's going to help you get to the next level. Biggest mistake is you don't surround yourself with the right people. So I'll end with this. I just came off of like a 24-day hiatus traveling from all over the West Coast for real estate events, to meeting with some people that I know that are in the business, to a little bit of vacation sprinkled in there. It was a good time. But here's what I learned. Here's what I took away. You are who you hang out with. And that's not the first time you've ever heard that, right? But I really reflected on the opportunities of the circles I got to step into when I was out west. And what I learned was there's a lot of money, a lot of opportunity, a lot of big thinking, and I got excited hanging in those circles, and it made me take on this huge weight on my shoulders to come back home and up the conversations that I'm having in the circles that I hang out with, because we are who we hang out with. So what I want to challenge you to think about is the people that you're hanging out with now, can you help up that circle of influence to the next level? Or do you need to go find yourself a new circle? I hope you enjoyed this show. This is my top 10 takeaways this year that you better pay attention to. And if you got anything else you want to add, throw it in the comments. If there's something you specifically want to talk about, please reach out. Hope you enjoyed the show today. Make sure to catch the next one. Hey guys, Doug Edrington here, CEO of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, J. Douglas Properties in Chattanooga, Tennessee. If you were thinking about getting in this business right now, I want to communicate with you. I want to get a conversation going. Also, maybe you're already in the business and you're like, man, I'm tired of trying to figure this out on my own. I'm here for you. I want to help. I'm looking for people to grow this business to the next level, and it's going to take people just like you who like this kind of stuff. So do me a favor, click on the link and let me know what you want to talk about. We'll have a conversation, connect right away.